Happy Saturday. Breaking news. Another big signing in the NFL. I'm here with Shane. It's not Mannequin Chill, but it is live Saturday night talking Zach Ertz re-signing with the Washington Commanders, Shane, on a one-year deal. And I think there's multiple things we can go with for this video to talk about the impact here. But I want to just start with tab over. You may not have even looked at this, but keep trade cut. We got Ben Sinnott to tight end 19 because everyone assumed Zach Ertz would be gone, right? And then Zach Ertz, we got him all the way down here at tight end 36. Can we just get this out? Should they be flipped?
Yes. Because at least one of these dudes we know is going to produce for us.
You hesitated. What? You hesitated. Right? What was going through your mind? Do people want to know?
One has at least ADV, right? Ben Sinnott has ADV because there were people out there telling you last year that he was the best tight end of the class, or maybe not the class, that's going overboard, but that he was like this sleeper, that he was just great, that he was going to smash. Dude couldn't even get on the field because Zach Ertz, of the age of 36 years old, my age, minus a decade, didn't let him get on the field. Yeah, minus a decade or so, but whatever. Yeah, Sinnott's an elite special teamer, so there's that, man. He's a gunner, but he has ADV, and he is a full decade younger than Zach Ertz. So this isn't a death knell to Sinnott. I didn't expect anything out of him last year. I don't expect much out of him this year, even if Zach Ertz weren't there. But I understand, like I said, I understand taking Ertz over him and flipping that where they are on KTC, because Ertz, is going to give you a level of production. Now, is that tight end 10 or tight end 15? Will the touchdowns regress? I don't know. We'll have to find that out.
Yeah, I think we're overcomplicating it. Ben Sinnott is dead. I don't have time for another year of a tight end that only had 5 targets and played every single game last year. He wasn't a good prospect that got pumped up because there really wasn't another tight end that got good draft capital and had a bunch of hype coming in. He was at the Senior Bowl. I was at the Senior Bowl last year. He was there. He didn't stand out at all compared to the tight ends this year.
But his
right, but he got some hype. What?
I said, but his RAS score. Did you see his RAS score?
Yeah, but I understand why people pushed him up. But the fact he couldn't even get on the field, and then they re-signed a guy who was dead, and Zach Ertz was tight end 9 last year. He had 90 targets. He played every single game for a guy that we thought was going to retire 3 years ago. Yeah. He goes out, plays every single game, was a top 10 tight end. I think the bigger picture here is, can you get anything for Ben Sinnott? If so, he's at a low enough range, and we're using tight end premium plus or whatever, that equates to on Keep Trade Cut. Like Ben Sinnott is just somebody that I am fine taking what I can get. Give me a different player in this year's class. I don't care if that's the 310, the 402. You know what I mean? That's not the type of player I want to wait on another year. Could he be fine going forward? Fine. But yeah, I'm not waiting another year. So let's just get that out of the way. We would flip him. You'd use Zach Ertz for your production. That's it.
The problem, though. That's the problem. Like Ben Sinnott. So I'm just looking at the Dynasty Daddy trades. There's a couple of weirdos that traded Dallas Goedert to get Ben Sinnott for some reason in the last couple of weeks. I don't know. Maybe they were doing cocaine or something and they got wild. I'm not really sure what happened there. There's a couple trades in there where people gave up seconds for Ben Sinnott. And obviously these are tight end premium.
In a 2 PPR, 2 PPR or 175, can you get a 4th for Ben Sinnott?
You can get a 4th. You can get a 3rd and a 4th, I think. I think you can get a 3rd and a 4th. Yeah. But it's crazy to me. People were paying seconds for him now, considering this tight end class, right? There's at least 5 tight ends we like better than him in this class, right? There's probably more than that if we're being honest. There's probably 7.
I don't even want to replace him with the tight end, but give me. I mean, it's obviously Ferguson and Fannin. That's tight end 5 and 6. Give me those guys over. Give me Gunnar Helm over him. If he runs a better 40 at his pro day, give me Gunnar Helm. Give me whatever the tight end 8 is. I'll take that guy over Ben Sinnott. So I think we just get that out of the way.
I'm not dropping him, though. I'm not dropping him. Look, I if I have a free roster spot, I'm assuming if I have a taxi squad, I can put him on my taxi because there's probably not a very high chance that he started any football games on my team last year. And if he did, it's because I was tanking. Brevin Jordan. I'll just stash him if I can't move him. If I can't get a third and a fourth for him, fine. If I can't get, I don't know, 15% of the fab, I'll just hold him. I'll just stash him at the bottom of my roster. Where it'll get interesting is in season, right? When I'm stashing him and running backs start popping, and I need running backs off the waiver wire. He'd probably be one of the first players I drop, to be honest with you. So yeah, third and a fourth, or I just probably have to let him go.
All right, well, let's move past the Sanat versus Ertz. Anybody has more takes on that, throw them in the comments. But let's spend the rest of the time talking about the impact on the Commanders. Now, you may say, what does Zach Ertz have a huge impact on the Commanders? He did have 90 targets last year, Shane. So he was, somebody that showed up and got, between 15 and 20% of their market share. He's not really, doesn't do anything great anymore, but he is a target earner, right? So when he's on the field, he's probably, you can pencil him in for, I don't know, 15%, 12 to 15. Let's just assume he regresses a little bit. Let's put him in. Is 15% fair to say if he's on the field, he's getting that?
He was 18% last year, so I wouldn't think that he'd fall much further than 15%, assuming he remains healthy, obviously.
So obviously, highlight here's Ben Sinnott's Trinity last year. It's a 0.39. That would be bad.
That's very bad, right? That's
the worst player on the team out of 13 players on the team. That's the worst one.
John Bates has a higher
John Bates
Trinity.
was higher than him.
Luke McCaffrey has a higher Trinity.
Wow. KJ Osborne.
Wait,
we
KJ
got
Osborne was
Diami Brown. Got Jamison Crowder. There we go. Higher Trinity.
Jamo had it. He had it. You know why? He had one good game against the Eagles. So that boosted his Trinity score way past that 0.39 of Sanat's, because Sanat didn't have any good games, not a one.
Okay, well, I said we're going to get away from talking Sanat and Ertz, but let's talk about Jaden Daniels and the impact on the offense. So they bring back Ertz. They trade for Deebo Samuel. Did you see the report? They're planning on re-signing Noah Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, and you add in Deebo. Is this now? They're going to let Diami Brown go. Is this now a spot that's not as exciting, Shane, for a second round Jaden Higgins?
No, it absolutely still is, because the one
thing but how much is it? Is it an elevating situation? Because if you're, let's say they take Jaden Higgins in the second round, you have to pay the 203 for him. Like, do you want a mid-second price for him? Do you want to invest in that? Given that, we may not like Zach Ertz or Deebo Samuel or Olamide Zaccheaus or Noah Brown, but they're leeches. I'm looking at this Trinity.
And they're sucking.
This is not what you want to see. Zaccheaus, Deebo, Brown, Ertz. Look, you do not want to see five guys with the Trinity at 4 or above. That means the concentration isn't great, meaning you're not going to have a rookie receiver walk into this situation. Mitch and I talked about it on the Raiders, the Geno Smith trade video. You look at the Raiders Trinity, it's Bowers, Myers, everybody else is below 2, meaning there's room for a third guy. And if Geno Smith can elevate them, that's where I want the receiver in the second to go. Not really the Commanders.
There's this thought, right? Maybe the reason that all these guys got 4 is because none of them outside of Terry McLaurin could monopolize more than that. Like, they physically could not do it because they are not good enough. They are not good 100%. Enough. So if let's say Noel goes there, I think that's how he says his name. There was a correction out there, Noel, right? If Noel goes there, not Higgins, but if Noel goes there, I'll give up the 203 for him. I don't know about Higgins. It's going to depend, right?
Any receiver, because I think that they're going to probably be in the sweet spot to take one in the second round, not the first. A first is a different investment, right? And I think that keeping Ertz, drafting or trading for Deebo, they're not using a first round pick on a receiver. They're going to use it on defense, probably, most likely. So I think it's probably that second or third round pick where they take a receiver. They still have McCaffrey. I mean, here, I'm not even saying that receiver can't be the number 2 receiver on their team right away. What I don't want to see is other guys in the way. That's the problem. When I saw they're going to try to re-sign Zacchaeus and Noah Brown, like that's 2 guys that historically are going to get like 7% of the targets, which is 7% not going to that rookie that we don't have a lot of tolerance for. If Noel's not putting up a 20% target share, you won't have any tolerance for him.
Oh, no. Well, look, I just did the Shane Says video where, again, I dove back in the rookie scoring and went, guess what? These dudes are dead. Just get rid of them now. And if it's under 9 points, you could suck off all you want. Sure, JSN broke the mold, but the rest of them were trash cans, so beat it. But just to your point about the first round wide receiver, it's also unlikely they go that way, right? Because they just cut Jonathan Allen. Because why? Because it's a it's a strong defensive tackle and deep defensive tackle class, meaning when they're up in the first round, there's probably a guy there that they want to take to replace Allen. Likely. That's more likely than them going, yeah, let's add another wide receiver to this room, when knowing they could do that in the second round. The only way I probably even think about investing is if I guess Matthew Golden was mocked there a few times, but even then it's what, 29th overall? Is that where they finished?
Yeah, but
overall?
I think that the draft capital difference is huge. They could probably get a receiver that what I'm getting at, and my whole point of bringing this up was looking at this Trinity. It feels like they're probably good adding a Diami Brown replacement with maybe a little higher upside, but that's more what they're thinking about doing versus we need a number 2 receiver opposite McLaurin. Because I don't even view Deebo Samuel as a receiver, really. Like, he's going to be used differently than the receivers that they would draft. But I'm just looking at this chart and looking at their Jonathan Allen move and looking at this class. Like, we got to stop mocking them receivers at 29. It's great for fantasy. It's just they're probably going to be drafted in the receiver dead zone that people are going to elevate because they have Jaden Daniels. That was the takeaway.
So this is last year. You thought what this was well, they were working with what they had, right? It was McLaurin and then just a bunch of dudes, but we all assumed they didn't want to continue with that, right? We just assumed. Like, no, they want to lock in a number 2. But when you hear that they're bringing back all these jabronis from last year, literally just like, let's run it back except for Brown because he's going to cost too much. Then it's more like, oh, okay, maybe they like this type of offense. They like this. Let's get this guy 2 balls, this guy 3 balls, this guy 4 balls. McLaurin's going to be the leading target getter with 7 or 8 a game. And there's games where he'll only see 2. Maybe that's just the type of team they want to be. I didn't watch Daniels enough in college to know if that's just the type of quarterback he is, but that could just be the type of offense they want to run, right? They just want to kill you with 1,000 little paper cuts, and you don't know where those paper cuts are coming from. They like specific roles for specific players.
I think it is. I think they're much more likely, maybe a hot take, but if they were going to go offense in the first round, it's like Amari and Hampton if he's there at 29. And then they build their offense around a bunch of guys. I'll end it with this, Shane. Hasn't this felt like the way that the Bills have played the last 3 years and how Lamar Jackson's played his whole career? Never had a stud receiver other than Diggs for about a year and a half. Never had a stud receiver where you're just like, they're not going to get Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors for Jaden Daniels. In fact, they may run it the opposite where Jaden and the running game is so good that we can get by with Zacchaeus and Brown and Ertz and whoever they draft this year. We can get by with kind of a group effort. And that's just not great for fantasy.
I will say this. The Ravens have tried, right? They've tried to get wide receivers. It just turned into, well, none of these guys are the guy, and everybody's going to be.
The Commanders learned from what the Bills have done in the Ravens and said, we're not going to waste first round picks 3 times on receivers just to get wide receiver 35 production out of them, right?
Because that's where the Bills are again, right? Because they're like, well, we have Khalil Shakir, but it's
working.
He's not a 1. You're right. He's not a 1. Keon Coleman, we just expended second round? I forget what it was. It was the early second or end of first. Like, but they're in a position where if they want to, like, would they be? You know what I mean? Like, do they want to then expend another first or another second on a wide receiver? But just back to the point, like, yes, maybe Washington's looking at those teams going, we're going to get that Rashad Bateman production, why are we going to give a first up?
Well, and
why would we do that?
Bateman, Marquise Brown, and Zay Flowers, guess what they all are? Good.
Yeah.
But would they have been better on another team with another offense, with another quarterback? You can't look at them and say they were awful picks. If anything, you look at the three and you say the Ravens might have limited their upside from terms of how great they could have been instead of landing on another team. And it doesn't mean they were bad picks. But maybe a team like the Commanders has learned and gone, you know what, we're not going to blow our first round pick after Jaden's rookie year on a non-elite receiver. I'm taking Matthew Golden is like taking another Hollywood Brown. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's that great of a spot. So we'll end it there. Stay tapped into the channel. Click the link below if you want to join the community, ddfantasyfootball.com. Either one of those QR codes will get you inside the Discord, 50% off. We're going to be dropping these live videos every time something happens. We'll be dropping a couple more tomorrow on stuff that happened today and or tomorrow. In the next couple days, whoever's around, you'll get two of us on here talking breaking news. So, Shane, thank you for jumping in. Thank you, everybody that was in the comments. We'll see you next time. Appreciate it.